What's up, everybody? This is your boy Chainsaw. Listen, I wanted to just kind of provide a little bit of an update because I was asked about this just the other day. Apparently, my social media presence wasn't too clear on my lack of social media presence, so I wanted to make sure that everybody's on the same page because I was asked just 2 days ago how I was feeling, how I was doing, and if I'd had a heart attack. No, I did not have a heart attack. In fact, it was just supposed to be a simple gallbladder removal procedure, which apparently in normal circumstances is a super simple, it's a outpatient thing. They get you, they get you fixed up and you're ready to go run along, little Johnny or whatever. But in my case, because I'm at peak physical, aptitude here, I'm at the prime of my life, peak physical performance, it was a little bit less than routine, right? There were some extra risk factors and, things, just because of the nature of my physicality and the operation, which of course in my case required me to be hospitalized for a few days, one of which being, in infection and later running a pretty high fever after the surgery was performed, which is again not typically normal. There's some reasons why that happened, of course, but everything's good now. Everything's better. I'm feeling not 100%, but definitely feeling better than I was a few weeks ago, and certainly feeling much better than I was a couple of days before the surgery, of course. But yeah, I did not have a heart attack. It was a simple gallbladder removal that was not quite so simple. So I should probably stop calling it that. But, it was supposed to be simple. It's a normal procedure. Typically super easy. But in my case, it was a little more complicated. But that's it. I'm fine. I'm alive. We're here. We're not quite doing it 5 days a week, but I'm going to try and kick it up. We're doing the Monday, the Wednesday, the Friday show. We got a live stream we're looking to plan out for tomorrow, because tomorrow, even though a lot of people are sleeping on it for some reason, which is beyond me, and we're going to discuss that here in just a few minutes, but tomorrow is the big primary. And in Missouri, we've pretty much the focus of the country right now is Senator Roy Blunt's seat. He's stepping down, of course, after this year. And so you've got candidates like disgraced Governor Eric Schmidt, disgraced Governor Eric Greitens. You've got disgraced Attorney General Eric Schmidt, Sue Happy. You've got Vicky Hartzler, who people are just dying to get out of her employ, literally Sarah Walsh's husband. Google it if you don't already know. People are literally dying to get away from that woman. Both of those women, apparently, anti-vaxxer psychopaths. But, it's not really, things aren't really doing so great on the Democrat side either when it comes to that particular race. You've got Trudy Bush Valentine, who was a billionaire heiress to the Bush family, who basically thinks that critical race theory is a legit talking point. You couldn't convince me that she's not a Trumper. The media darling, Lucas Koontz, who has been talked about on corporate media, and for some strange reason on independent media, which I have been giving those folks a lot of shit. Because a lot of the same people who are in my professional circle, and in some cases who even worked for some of the same, media outlets that I've, graced the presence of in the past, are going head on when it comes to Lucas Koontz. But he has a history of being anti-LGBTQ. He has a history of being affirmative action, anti-choice, the pro-life, folks. He just has a history of being very, very much in line with the traditional conservative, and neocon, talking points. So the Democrats who are being discussed in corporate media and independent media, take your pick. They both very much seem like Republicans. And so far, the only one that I've seen in this race that even grabs my attention, and I'm late to the game to even know about the guy, is a fella that nobody's talking about except for Missourians on Twitter, is Spencer Toder. The Toad Man kind of reminds me of like the Missouri version of Meet Kevin, except he doesn't have the show. But I mean, he's out there. It seems less like he's actually working on winning the seat and campaigning, and a little bit more on just building the brand of, I'm willing to help people and I'm not a douchebag. And it's a shame that more people running for office were trying to help people and not being douchebags. The guy's been helping to get folks in as far as, Missouri healthcare, the Medicaid expansion that they just passed, and put the budget into finally as of last year. I know several folks who had applied last year, who had applied early this year, and are just now starting to get coverage when it comes to Medicaid expansion. You know, Obamacare from like a bajillion years ago, well, they finally decided to incorporate that here in Missouri, but then Republicans at the state level didn't want to fund it. Now they're being forced to fund it after last year, and finally the program started to build traction, but folks are still just now being able to get their health insurance and their medical care taken care of by something that we should have had, 12 years ago at this point, and something that the people of Missouri voted on, 3 years ago at this point, and something that they should have had funded and in action last year, in July. Folks are just now starting to get to the point. Well, I guess we're in August now, but as of July, folks are just now starting to actually get that insurance. And Spencer Toder, was actively out there helping folks to find all the resources that they would need to get that ball rolling for them. And if you don't know about the guy, Google the guy. I mean, it'd take you just a second. I mean, you could literally punch the guy's name into Twitter and pull up on top. I mean, first thing that comes up, I'll take the thousands of Missourians who are proudly tweeting that they're Toder voters over random out-of-state blue check marks who haven't done their homework. Again, a lot of corporate media, a lot of independent media. I mean, you know who you are. We've seen the folks, and honestly, it's a lot of people that I respect and love. I still watch their shows. I'm still going to, but I'm just assuming that maybe it's because they're not from Missouri that they don't know about this guy. But it just seems weird to me. It's like, come on, folks, somebody's got to be doing their fucking homework here. But that's beside me. But anyway, he says, random check marks out of state who haven't done their homework, polls and check marks don't vote. Missourians do. It's time to be heard. And then the next one, I'm coming back from raising money for the Mo Abortion Fund in KC. I'm sending hundreds of video responses to people who ask questions by clicking the floating head at spencertoder.com. I'll always be accessible and accountable to you in the Senate. Let's go, be heard. I mean, again, guy kind of reminds me of like the Meet Kevin from Missouri or something. Like he's running a very similar campaign on just, I want to be there for people. I want to help people out. And, if you're in a situation, da-da-da. But he seems a little bit less conservative, than me. Just check the guy out. Listen to what, the folks are surrounding Spencer Toder who've experienced him have to say about him. It's definitely something you want to do your homework with, but that's what's going on in Missouri for that big Senate race. Now, in the meantime, we're becoming first there was the Josh Hawley, running away from the insurrection that he'd helped to instigate, that made national headlines, and I have a feeling that this is going to be something that if it hasn't, it certainly should, and it's definitely something that has been making the Twitter circles fucking all day. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started here. So I caught this. This is from Mary Elizabeth Coleman. She logged onto Twitter yesterday, a representative, Mary Elizabeth Coleman. She's from the District 97, Republican, of course. She logged into Twitter yesterday and tweeted out, "It's a great day to visit with voters. Hashtag Moleg, hashtag 2 days, hashtag Cedar Hill." Meanwhile, Dave Fossick responds through the narrator's voice, of course, "But it wasn't a great day at all. In fact, it was a terrible day." And that's pretty real. In the case of Mary Elizabeth Coleman, you might be wondering who she is. Well, she's the Missouri lawmaker who wants to make it a crime to help people get abortions out of state, according to this NPR article found on Twitter. Now you know my secrets. Vanity Fair, which we'll talk about this Vanity Fair article again in a bit. Vanity Fair, Missouri lawmaker who employed 2 nannies wants women punished for seeking out-of-state abortions. What? And then lastly, this tweet from Nick Schreier, hashtag the Alamo. It's a retweet of Mary Elizabeth Coleman. The architects of HB 126 are at it again. Hashtag Mobleg. Hashtag pro-life generation. Hashtag we are coming for you. Hashtag start sweating. Hashtag we are coming for you. We are coming for you? She says we are coming for you. We're coming for you. Well, I guess we're coming for you. All right. Before we continue, I'll share with you this tweet from 2019. Yes, I know that's like a bajillion years ago for the kids. This is from Kathy Joe Loy, and I want to share this before it gets deleted or something crazy out of shame. She posts at Elijah Har, at Nick Schreier, that douchebag from the last tweet, and at MEAC Coleman. MEAC Coleman. So that's me Coleman, right? Mary Elizabeth Coleman. Me Coleman. That makes sense. Okay. That's her Twitter handle. MEAC Coleman. Me Coleman. Leadership put Missouri as the #1 pro-life state. Thank you at Mo House GOP, at Mo Senate GOP. Please follow their lead. Hashtag lead right. Follow their lead, you say. Okay, and here's here's the nice photo of Elijah Har with me Coleman there, right? So this was shared yesterday on Twitter by Annie Schulte, and we'll just dive right in. So she writes, this thread is about who I met on January 21st, 2020, while moonlighting as an Uber driver. Jefferson City is a sleepy town on Tuesday nights, but I signed into my driving app knowing that I could always count on a few legislators needing a ride home from the bar. Hashtag Moleg. And this was posted yesterday, 9:46 a.m. on Twitter. This is posted the same day that Mary Elizabeth was tweeting, you know, it's a great day to visit with voters, right? About the same time. So let's begin. I get a ride request around 11 p.m. instructing me to pick up me near the corner of High Street, Madison. I'm used to Uber always giving me the passenger's first name and last initial, so I get a little uneasy. Me, right? M-E. That's weird. I gotta pick up me. Your earnings, $10, 9 minutes, 55 seconds. I mean, who the fuck calls themselves me and wants to get in the back seat of my car this late at night? Probably a serial killer, my anxiety says. I was relieved when I rolled up on an unassuming brunette that looked more like an extra on Falcon Crest than a murderer on Dateline. Whew. So I says, I guess you're me. How's it going? Passenger says, good. Actually, my name is Mary Elizabeth, but the app wouldn't let me add that many characters, you know, because I guess Mary would be too fucking hard, right? Boy, she's a smart one. So it says, that makes sense. Mary Elizabeth says, wrestling around with the seatbelt. We're picking up my friend first. Mary Elizabeth says, he's just around the corner. Okay, well, you know, we'll need you to add his address on the app. There should be an option to add stop. Mary Elizabeth's, you know, sighs. No, he's just around the corner. You don't need an address. Just go left. Right? Just go left. It's like the sheepdogs, you know, go left. Go left. Some of you, the Steve Coogan fans out there are going to catch that one. Folks who know who Tony Wilson is, go left. They're going to catch that. So me turns on Madison Street. Almost immediately, stop. He's right there. Here comes a guy in a tan overcoat, smirking as he walks out of the dark Hawthorne Bank drive-through and negotiates his way around a bush toward my car. And it doesn't sound creepy at all. I've marked their pickup location on the map, although it's hard to tell. There was barely room to swing a dead cat between them, like they could literally see each other while she waited for an Uber. And so here's the, 1X marks the spot where me was picked up, right? And the other one, make the left on Madison Street, is where the creepy trench coat guy was picked up, right? So I start driving to their destination. They were going to Twin Bridges, a local dive bar outside city limits. Last I heard, you could still smoke there. Definitely not the place you'd expect to see someone like Pollyanna Passenger or her suited companion. Speaking of Mary Elizabeth, she's all smiles now. I can see her and the gentleman touching each other, he rubbing her thigh while she prattles on about their workday. She says something about sex trafficking and then must have noticed me glance at her in the rearview mirror because that's when she tells me, oh, we're legislators, right? If there's one thing you can count on, it's that legislators will tell you they're legislators at their first opportunity. My passengers are holding hands now. As we pull into a dark, empty parking lot, the bar's closed. While I generally don't give away free Uber rides, I wasn't going to leave these folks in a dark parking lot in the middle of nowhere, so I give them a ride back into town. It says, where to now? Mary Elizabeth, preferably a bar that doesn't have other legislators in it. Okay, so we're a dating service. We stopped by a place called the Tavern, but they were also closed. Frustrated, they finally resigned themselves to Sapphire Lounge. They exit the vehicle, and I proceed with my evening. About an hour later, I get another Uber request from me. She's alone again and annoyed, explaining that other legislators were at Sapphire Lounge and it ruined everything. She's ready to go home. $22 out of that. Mary Elizabeth is pretty tipsy now and busy texting someone and singing along to Tom's Diner in the back seat of my car. I turn the stereo down when I hear her get on the phone. She's telling a friend about her night. Mary Elizabeth, well, maybe we're in love. Gushing, it was so romantic. He even held my hand in the Uber. At one point during her call, she starts yelling, "This is the best I'll ever be. Right now, this is the best I'll ever be." It's my best impression of a drunk lady. Context is unknown, though, so I could be wrong. I drop her off at her apartment on the west side behind Lowe's and wait until she makes it inside before driving away. I forget about me until the next day when I see that her Moleg boyfriend's picture is in the Tribune. And so it looks like here contacting a friend, which you can't see it here, but we'll leave a link or something. I think I might actually have this already on Twitter. So at Chainsaw CCC, if you're not already following your boy Chainsaw on Twitter. Quick question: who is this guy? Totally random, I know. And then the response, LOL. Elijah Har, need an introduction? ? And then responds, I mean, yeah, he's a decent looking fellow, but that's not why I asked. I was just scrolling through my feed and recognized his face. Without dishing on anyone, I'll just say that people, especially couples, treat their Uber like a confessional sometimes. In other news, driving for Uber at night is super fun. It's going to be really hard when I have to resume my normal lifestyle. So, no big deal, not thinking too much about it. Mary Elizabeth Coleman was having an affair with the Speaker of the House. Personally, I didn't care. It's none of my business. Right? It wasn't until the SCOTUS overturned Roe v. Wade I ever even thought about her again after reading an article in Vanity Fair. That one, probably. So I proceed to learn everything I can about this woman, discovering that she's currently one of the biggest threats to Missouri, specifically women. As a single mom of 3 little girls, I decided it was time to speak Mary's truth. Because meanwhile...
Representative Golden, the legislature's going to meet this year. I read a piece in the Washington Post where you are the new face of the pro-life movement. I thought that was probably when you started politics, you couldn't dream of a better compliment. So this is a legislature's meeting. What are you going to do this year?
Well, even before I started in politics, right, I think life is the preeminent issue in Missouri, that making sure that we protect the unborn is, you can't talk about education and making sure we protect children there if you don't protect them in the womb. And so I have filed a bill to Make sure that the only thing that has actually been able to go into effect since Roe v. Wade was passed is able to be here in Missouri, a tool as well, which is private enforcement action.
So if Roe versus Wade goes away, what does that mean for Missouri now?
Well, Missouri already, under our Democratic majorities, put into state statute that life begins at conception. And
Back when Democrats won elections.
That's right. And in 2019, we said that when Roe is overturned, we'll completely outlaw abortions in the state of Missouri. Okay. So Missouri will be completely abortion-free, except for life of the mother exceptions, if Roe v. Wade is overturned.
Right. And so the face of pro-life Missouri, I guess that's probably not the face of family values Missouri, or maybe it is. This is the same kind of shit that we saw, you know, from all the other family values people throughout time. I mean, I think I just tweeted last week about you know, Jimmy Swaggart. I don't think we need to jump too deep into you know, where these folks are really coming from here with their bullshit. You know, but anyway, let's continue here. And another thing that's you know, I can't stress enough on this is specifically the audacity that these people want to restrict the travel of American citizens from one state to another. It's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But let's continue. So she isn't who she says she is. She's an emotionally immature, self-serving narcissist disguised as a mousy, altruistic brunette that claims to be deeply devoted to her husband and her constituents and the Lord. It's all bullshit. By the way, the Bible doesn't even mention abortion, but it has a lot to say about adultery, Mrs. Coleman. Also, happy birthday, Mary Elizabeth. My apologies to Chris if he's just now discovering that you use session as an escape to bang other dudes while he's stuck at home watching all those kids. Damn. I mean, you made your bed. It's time to lay in it. I guess it doesn't really matter to me who you laying in it with, but I mean, I guess it matters who it matters to, you know. I don't know. Like, I'm not here to judge, but hey, you know, if you're here to judge, there we go. One more thing, buying more children will not save your marriage. It just doesn't work like that, so stop with this nonsense. And it'll all make a whole lot more sense when I show you this video here. But first, the caption. It was this interview for me where she panders to her Christian base, bragging about that perfect marriage of hers, the best gift she's ever been given. And listen to her talk about the best gift she's ever been given here.
The major influences in your life.
Yeah, so first and foremost is Christ, and I am driven not by ideology but by faith. It is the backbone of my life, and just absolutely the most important thing on a day-to-day basis. The second biggest influence is my husband. Chris and I have grown up together. We started dating when I was 18, and we've built an incredibly beautiful family together. And I don't know if you feel like you have this in your life and in your marriage, but you know, we have each other's back, and it feels like us against the world. And we pray together, and we fight together, and we love together. And there is no bigger influence in my life than my faith, and then Chris as well as the head of our family.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is the best gift that I've ever been given, is having been able to marry young.
That's good.
Yeah.
Did anyone else catch that? The best gift I've ever been given is having been able to marry young. What the fuck does that even mean? And again, it's no wonder why she finds herself in this situation. They grew up together. They got married when she was 18. And this is the first time probably in her entire life that, you know, some other guy, you know, looking at her like, hey, girl, you know, What's up? I'm getting an Uber. Let's take an Uber. I'm getting the back seat of the Uber, girl. Come on. You know, so she's like, hey, you know, daddy's doing big things, which, you know, I'm not mad about. But apparently she mad about everything else that everybody else is doing, and this is why this is a problem. This is why these hypocrites are a problem. Look, I'm not mad that Jimmy Swagger likes to get turned and fuck hookers. And, you know, fuck anybody who is mad about that. But what I am mad about was when this asshole comes on TV 7 nights a week and tells you that when Jesus Christ turned water into wine, that it was actually fucking grape Kool-Aid. And that the Bible is the literal word of God. And you can't take him at his word. I'm just saying, you know, I'm not even that guy, but don't bullshit a bullshit, all right? And Mary Elizabeth Coleman, look, if you like dick, that's perfectly fine. You might want to have that conversation with Mr., you know, Coleman about this, because I'm just going to assume that he's not really going to be a big fan of you, how do they put it? Not being able to keep your legs closed. That's what they call it, folks. Don't hate don't hate the messenger. You know, ask your conservative friends what it's called. But look, I'm not mad at her about it. I'm mad at her about everything else. And this is not going to help her side. You know, this is right up there with well, I'll leave Dave Rubin for another time. But look, again, if you I don't even know how to fucking finish that sentence. This is a weird one, and I'm super happy that this came out right before the primaries. I really hope that this just absolutely tanks her political career, at least in the now, because clearly someone like her who is dangerous and is a danger to, you know, folks who would find themselves in a situation like this, with a need for these kinds of services, obviously, she deserves whatever political backlash she gets for putting people at risk like this. And yeah, I mean, I tweeted it myself, or retweeted the image here, and I'll share that with you. When you sponsor a bill to make traveling out of state to get an abortion illegal with someone that may eventually give you the need to travel out of state for an abortion, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, that's amore. I mean, look, I'm not gonna debate on whether or not you know, you guys are in love. Good for you if you are. If not, hey, look, you got a lot of things you need to figure out about who you are before you should be out there dictating what other people do with their bodies. I'm just saying, don't be mad at everybody else in the state that, you know, that has or had or you know, otherwise, you know, are uterus bearers or one-time uterus bearers, and what they do with their body, just because you don't know what the fuck you are supposed to be doing or can do or what you want to do with your body. Okay, just because you don't give yourself a choice doesn't mean you should be taking a choice away from other people. That's all I'm saying. But hey, you know, that's just me. And as far as the people who do have uteruses who are fucking sleeping on this story, I don't know where the fuck you are. The folks that this is actually going to affect, you know, cis women, non-binary folks, trans men, other marginalized groups that I can't even think of right now because I'm so fucking ranty, and I apologize for that ahead of time. But yeah, as far as they're concerned, I mean, there are people out there who are doing legit activism, you know, real community leaders, and I appreciate that. And that, you know, honestly, folks like Laura Burkhardt, you know, from Moms Demand Action, made this super simple for me. You know, she's been writing and tweeting about Mary Elizabeth Coleman since the inception of these goofy bills, made it super easy for me to check dates and then reference the, you know, source material as far as her voting background, and then be able to look at what it is that she's put in and what she's changed in the Donald Trump highway that she proposed and all this shit, right? To be able to find out real quick and not in a 12-hour process what kind of a psycho Mary Elizabeth Coleman actually is. And I strongly urge you to do the exact same. You might be surprised at some of the shit that she's sponsored for your home state here in Missouri. I don't think at this point I have to tell you she belongs to some kind of a fucking cult. But at the same time, and look, I'm not going to name any names, but you know who these people are if they're in your community, and you might want to just go over and give them a little kick on their lawn chair or something, because some of these so-called community leaders and these so-called activists, some of whom have been critical of me in the past, wake up in the morning and drink their coffee, have their avocado toast, and, sing the song of smashing the patriarchy, which is all well and good and fine. But those folks are fucking strangely silent on this issue. And I know it's 2 days old and that's not a lot of time, but she's running for office and the primaries are tomorrow. You don't have a lot of time. So maybe sit the fuck down, or better yet, do your community some justice and stand the fuck up and do the work that you claim you've been doing while you're patting everyone on the ass and having your little gold sticker party there. Because look, for fuck's sake, with everything that's been happening over the last couple of weeks, and this is the crunch time. This is when we need all hands on deck, and yeah, we don't have time for that shit. We certainly don't have time for hurt fucking feelings. But anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the matter. Listen, if you like this kind of content, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Definitely hit me up at Twitter at ChainsawCCC. If you really, really, really like this kind of content, consider supporting on Patreon at patreon.com/ChainsawCCC or chainsawccc.com/Patreon. I'm not selling any merchandise or anything like that. I'm not making any money doing this, and I don't expect that to change anytime soon. I'm simply, putting the word out there as best I can as it comes with things that I feel passionate about. So anyway, put that in your pipe and smoke it. We've got a big day coming up tomorrow. Keep that in mind. Yeah, until next time, we'll catch you on the flippity fling flong. Rock and roll.